Hi everyone, it's Roger and James here from the What's on Disney Plus podcast. In this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the new episode of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, which came to Disney Plus this week. We'll also be giving our thoughts on the new Be Our Chef show. The trailer dropped for that one this week. We're going to be talking about the European launch. We're going to be talking about all the Star Wars Mandalorian merchandise and a few other bits and pieces in between, including like all the stuff that's going to be coming to Disney Plus in March. But before we go into any of that, let's do a quick bit of housekeeping. If you haven't already done so, make sure you do subscribe on the YouTube channel, and also you can subscribe on the audio platforms. A big thank you to our patrons for all of their support. It really does make all the difference in making sure that the podcast can continue regardless of like YouTube and all the issues that are going on over there. So big thank you to Andrew, Giuseppe, Julie, and What's on Netflix for all of your support each month going forward with each of the podcasts. And if you support us from the $5 or above tier, you will get a note at the beginning and at the end of the podcast, but also on the videos as well. You get your name at the end, so you can do that over at patreon.com/What's on Disney Plus. Right, okay, let's jump into some of these. Been quite a few big bits this week, especially like with Star Wars: The Mandalorian. Let's kick off first off with one that's kind of, I think, probably the most important to a lot of people, and that is the European launch, which is coming up on March the 24th. There's been a few things that kind of come up about that this week. First off, Disney are hosting a special event in London on March the 5th as a launch for the European thing. They're giving away tickets to this on their social medias and stuff. We don't yet know what this event is all going to be about, but I think it's very important that we kind of maybe temper expectations that they're going to be giving us lots of footage of Loki and Falcon and the Winter Soldier and announcing She-Hulk and all this kind of stuff. I think it's important to note that it is a European launch event, which means it's primarily going to be focused on getting Disney Plus out to all the European press, all the European viewers, trying to get them to sign up to Disney Plus. So yeah, you will have a bit of like what's coming up in the future to kind of get people excited. But I think we're going to see lots of stuff about what's already going to be on Disney Plus that Europeans haven't seen yet. Things like Lady and the Tramp, Togo, Timmy Failure, and all of the Mandalorian stuff. So that's going to be that. There'll probably be some announcements about some of the carriers in different countries, maybe like Sky in the UK and things like that. Pricing, and all this kind of stuff. So I've seen a lot of people getting very excited, and I can help but feel like people are going to get a little bit disappointed when it is a European launch event, and it's primarily, yeah, we'll see some stuff. They might show off the Super Bowl trailers and bits and pieces, but I am not going into this expecting this to be like the D23 Expo. I'm just being. That's how I'm looking at it. Going, yeah, just because it is they don't do it very often, but this will be about getting all the European press together to get them briefed up ahead of March 24th when it launches officially. It is difficult as well because obviously we've all been using Disney Plus for months, so we're used to it. But there are a lot, I'm probably in the 1% of the UK population that's been watching it compared to the rest of the population.
Yeah, it's important for them to have this launch go successfully, so I can see why they're doing a launch event for it. But like you said, it's important to not view it as D23 light. This is all hype, all getting it in front of people. And you can of course argue D23 is the same thing at a larger scale, but this is much more focused.
Yeah, definitely more focused, definitely more interesting to see where they go with this one. And I think it's just important that people kind of understand that. There are a couple of other things from the international launch they need to be aware of. They rolled out all the social medias across like the UK, Italy, Germany, etc. They've all launched up this week with a little video just going like hola, bonjour, ciao and all this kind of stuff. And it was important to note that on the UK one, the O didn't turn into a donut from The Simpsons like it did in every other country. And in none of the emails that I've had from Disney Life and Disney Plus have they mentioned The Simpsons. And there's a very strong possibility, I think, that The Simpsons could be missing from Disney Plus in the UK. This is probably due to issues with Channel 4 and Sky, but this is not good for Disney to kind of be missing The Simpsons. But again, it's going to be existing contracts, and why that's always a problem.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
there's not much to say about it. It's mostly speculation at this point, but
It's just it just seemed very odd the fact that the Simpsons were not included in that scissor was like they wouldn't take that out for any reason.
well, not for any non-legal
No.
reason anyway, because the Simpsons are big in
Mm.
pretty much
Everywhere.
everywhere, Europe and America at the very least.
Mm.
If not big as in like a cultural phenomenon, at least well known, and it's
Yeah.
definitely something they would want as part of the launch lineup. So if it's not there, and we don't know if for sure that it won't be,
No.
it's not because Disney doesn't want it.
No,
there.
it could be delayed because unfortunately the trouble is actually Sky and Channel 4 don't actually have any of the episodes on demand either. They have the television rights, but they've not put them out there. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. But it could even come. There could be a contract reason. It could end up coming at a later date. But just being aware of that could be an issue for UK ones. And also there was an interesting message on Twitter where they said that episodes of The Mandalorian will start to roll out from March the 24th across Europe. At which point this was like a dumpster fire when looking at the comment section on social media because everyone's going, hold on a minute, you're making everybody wait. It's like you're going to start dripping out The Mandalorian week by week for Europeans. You've already made everybody wait 5 months and now they're going to do this. That is not going down very well. I mean, I can see why they're doing it because they don't want everyone jumping in, doing the trial, watching the lot and getting out. But it's not, I mean, are they going to do this with all of the series? Are they going to do it with just The Mandalorian? Yeah, this is not gone down too well because I think obviously a lot of Star Wars fans in Europe are like already like been spoiled and not been able to catch it. And then to have that further delay and to be rolled out, it's just like, oh, we just want your 2-month subscription. That's kind of how that's starting to feel.
Yeah, I've sympathized very much with the European.
Could you imagine if it was the other way around?
Oh yeah, there'd be
There'd
there'd be riots down Main Street in Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
The Star Tours would be like
Yeah.
torched. I 100% sympathize. This move, other than for the financial reason that you mentioned, this move doesn't make sense at all. The Mandalorian is the launch title. It is the one title that pretty much everyone who is a Disney Plus subscriber wants to see. I mean, yeah, there's people who want to, see High School Musical, the musical, and maybe Lady and the Tramp or something like that. But The Mandalorian is the premier launch title, and to not have it at launch at Europe when it was already in America and you've already waited 5 months, it's hard to not view it as a slap to the face.
Yeah, I just to me that just feels a little bit like, really, you're doing that. Okay, so you've already made everybody wait in Europe 5 months, and then you're going to delay them. It's like you want to have this system on par. Where are they going to do the same when it launches in Latin America, when it launches in Asia and stuff? It's like every country is just going to start. It's like, what is it going to affect everything else? We're going to start having the Imagineering story dropping week by week. It's like, no, you need to make this system a global system. What's coming on today is available everywhere. There's going to be some regional differences and stuff, that's sure, but it just feels like when it launches in other countries, it needs to be bang up to today's whatever everybody else is getting, not suddenly, well, actually, no, you're 5 months behind, otherwise they'll never catch up. I can understand, like, from August onwards, when you're starting to get all these new shows dropping in, they don't need to worry about it so much. But you're looking at it, they go, yeah, you're just trying to make sure that nobody gets the free trial and jumps out. That's all that is.
Yeah, and it does raise the question of, is Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or the second season of The Mandalorian, are they going to come out with a worldwide unified release, or are they going to be, oh no, we'll release it in America, maybe the UK and Germany can wait a little longer, France can wait a little longer.
Up till now, Australia, New Zealand, everyone that got Disney Plus at launch all gets it on exactly the same time. So Australia, New Zealand, the Netherlands, Canada, and America. And I would expect that is going to happen for the whole of Disney Plus because it's just easier for their entire system to do it because of just how they log it. The Mandalorian, to me, it feels like they've just taken that and gone, yeah, we're going to take that and put that in a special category to hold us over till May. And that's how I think I would be surprised if things like High School Musical, the series, and Diary of a Future President aren't all on there in full and letting people get in there. It's just The Mandalorian that they're just going to hold back for Europe to kind of make sure they get 2 month subscriptions out of people. And that's That's all what I, because like there's no reason like not to have Togo on there or Timmy Failure. It's like you need to make this thing look like it's in some ways Europeans are getting a much stronger launch lineup because you're getting 4 or 5 movies, you're getting a lot more series, you're actually getting a much better strong lineup.
Yeah, and more back catalog items too, because those have been added in as well. But then none of that counts for anything if you're like, well, we don't have Baby Yoda, we don't have the Mandalorian.
No.
That's what we want. Or I'm honestly baffled by this. I can't imagine that the bad press of not having it outweighs that extra month of forced subscription.
It's just the way it's rolled out. And again, the social medias, they're not responding to anything. And they might, sometimes if they start seeing something flowing in the wrong direction, they can change tactics and be like, oh yeah, I thought I was always going to be doing that. It's like, yeah, we weren't going to do that at all.
And if it is not for nefarious reasons, if there's some legal reason they have to do it for licensing or none of the scenes were shot in Germany, so it can't that kind of thing, then they need to come out and say that like straight up. Although I will admit a lot of people would probably like, no, you're just kind of making that up so you don't look as bad. But they might at least help if that's the case. And I don't know if it is. I'm speculating.
No. Right, moving on from the European launch, let's look ahead at what's coming up in March. So Disney announced all of the official details this week. So I'm just going to run through them here. So we're going to have Dr. Dolittle. So this is for the US. Dr. Dolittle 2 and Ice Age on the 1st, followed by Black Panther on Wednesday the 4th. Thursday the 5th, you're going to get Bedtime Stories. March 6th, The Finest Hours is returning, along with Free on a Run, which I think was like a Disney show thing that they had in one of those American things that nobody's ever heard of. Have you ever heard of Free on a Run? I couldn't find anything on the internet other than a really bad picture of like a VHS tape. It was just like, okay.
No, this one's new to me.
Okay, then from there, each Friday, I'll do this one all in one. We'll be having the, obviously, Diary of a Future President for a few weeks until that season ends. We'll be having Marvel Hero Project as well, which has got a few more episodes in March before that ends. Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings will be carrying on right through the month, as will Star Wars The Clone Wars. And the brand new series of Shop Class will also be dropping each week throughout March. And we've also got new episodes of Disney Family Sundays and One Day at Disney right through March. Other library content includes March 13th. We've got Wicked Tuna seasons 3 to 8 and Wicked Tuna The Outer Banks seasons 1 through 6. So tons of tuna content. I need to watch that series because it looks like there's going to be a lot of that one. Zorro second series, season 1. There's a lot of, we don't quite know what that one is. It might be a series from the 50s. Seems to be. In fact, it's the second series. We're not yet too sure. We have asked for clarification on what that is. Stargirl will also be dropping on March 13th. That'll be a brand new Disney Plus original movie. And that's definitely the kind of like the big release really for March. Moving on from there, looking at what we've got. Oh, on Sunday, the 15th of March, we've got G-Force. Check out those special spy guinea pigs. Again, US only on that one. New launch title from Disney Channel on the March the 17th. Big Hero 6 Season 2, the series. Friday, March 20th. I Didn't Do It, Seasons 1 and 2. Playtime with Puppy Dog Pals, Puppy Play Care Season 2. I'm just trying to say that one quick. And then Vampira Ghoul Girls Rock Season 2. That'll be dropping on the Disney Plus. And then Wrinkle in Time will be dropping on Wednesday, March the 25th. And then the big one really dropping then again at the end of the month is Be Our Chef, which is going to be starting on Disney Plus on March on the Friday. I just need to adjust that date. Yeah, but that'll be dropping in on the 27th. So yeah, that's all pretty good. The fact that we're going to be getting all those bits and pieces and stuff dropping in on Disney Plus. Not as much library content as I was expecting for March. It seems a bit light.
Yeah, they could always drop something else in, but probably not. And I feel like they've probably at this point hit the major items that people are like, we want this. Why isn't this on here? Obviously, there's still stuff missing. A lot of the shorts are missing. Not the Pixar, but like the old Disney shorts from way back in the day, 40s, 50s, 60s. But the ones that have made up the bulk of people, going on Twitter or Facebook and going, where is Descendants 3 or something like that?
Yeah.
Those are the big ones.
To be honest, the big one I was expecting was Zombies 2. This was the one I was watching for because this one dropped onto onto the Disney Channel on at the beginning of the week, or sorry, beginning of the month. And I was wondering how this was going to work with Disney Channel Originals, because if it was a month afterwards, it would have dropped during mid-March, and it hasn't. The thing is, Descendants 3 took 6 months to drop onto Disney Plus, so that would put Zombies 2 onto August. Now, to say that I have been asked about this movie coming onto Disney Plus would be a very understatement. I have had very angry emails and messages from fans demanding that it's on there, and being kids crying because they turned in at 8 o'clock to watch it and it wasn't on there. This one was a bit of a hot topic this week, with Zombies 2 not being on Disney Plus. Much more so than people ask about like Frozen 2, but Zombies 2 was the one that a lot more people hadn't got that message that Disney Channel is different to Disney Plus. And I'm going to be honest, having seen the ratings of Zombies 2 being just over 2 million people tuned in for the premiere, which is massively, it's the highest thing of the year on the Disney Channel, but we are talking, I think, about a third of what was Descendants last year. I mean, and you go back to like days of High School Musical when they used to get 37 million people tuning in for an episode for a brand new movie. 2 million shows you the impact of On Demand has had. And Zombies. I thought Zombies 2 was a shoo-in for March, but no, that's not happening then.
No, I'm not actually surprised by this. I was expecting more along the lines of like a 3-month break, honestly, which would still put it faster than Descendants 3, but would keep the internal, Disney Channel versus Disney Plus, whatever rivalry they have going on, kind of keep it appeased. It will be a while before Disney Channel original content, the stuff that's coming out now. So not just Zombie, but like Owl House and shows of that nature. It's going to be a long time before we get even close to a parity of release. A month, 2 months.
Next day, same day kind of thing.
Same day would be ideal. Even next day would be fine. Next day would at least make sense.
That's what they do with Hulu, with ABC and Freeform. That's what's so annoying with that system. But
there has to be some internal thing with the Disney Channel team. It's the only real explanation for it. That said, we can guess what the timeline is. Tweet at Disney if you want these. Not us. We can't do anything about it. Although we do enjoy hearing about it, because it shows that there's a demand, and we love hearing people want this stuff, but we can't help. Contact Disney.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those situations of Zombies 2 really did kind of catch everyone's attention. It would have been a nice big boost for Disney Plus this month to have got that one there at the same time. I think they are going to be watching the data. They're going to be looking at it going, this isn't, how many views did Descendants 3 get this month compared to Zombies 2? They only released like 2 or 3 Disney Channel movies a year. They want as much bang for their bucks. But I think this will change going forward. But right now, that is the one. I think the only it's like yesterday, they did a shadow drop of like Lost Cities with, a National Geographic show had like suddenly just dropped onto Disney Plus yesterday that we weren't expecting in advance. So sometimes they do drop extra stuff, but I did think March's lineup did look very, very light on terms of what, especially considering I think like Canada and everybody else is picking up so many former Fox movies at the minute. But I was a little bit surprised at just how light that March lineup was. Again, whether or not they're holding stuff back for the European side of things, I don't know, but that just seemed a bit odd to me. I mean, and also most of those movies, we'd already knew a lot of this stuff because of the dates on, things like Black Panther and Wrinkle in Time. We already kind of knew all of this stuff. It was so funny. I started seeing all these sites putting up stories about Black Panther coming to Disney Plus on March the 4th, and I'm like going, we've known about this since March, since launch day. It's clearly there in Disney Plus. So I was just like, why is everyone making a big deal of this? We've known this for like 3-4 months. It's in the app. You can find Black Panther and it will tell you. We're like, okay, everyone seems to be surprised by this, but nevertheless,
It's the same old song and dance, though. It's news to the news companies because they're not tapped into every single news article that comes out about Disney Plus. And to be fair, it's not just the news companies. A lot of people, this is the first time they'll hear that the Black Panther is coming to Disney Plus, and it will be big news to them.
Yeah, it was just the fact. I think it's the fact that it's been in the app telling you the date for the last 3 months was a bit like, well, actually, it's like, no, well, like 5 months now. You're like, yeah, well, okay, never mind. But yeah, if you are after a movie that's on Netflix, go in and search it in Disney Plus. It will take things like Infinity War, that'll be coming up in June, and in July we've got, I think it's Solo and Ant-Man versus the Wasp. But it's interesting, actually. I did do a video that will be going up not next week, the week after, which is kind of going through. There's going to be a whole article about the differences between the countries of like what's available on different ones. So that'll be something to keep an eye out for. Yeah, so that's kind of what was coming up in March. Let's talk now about that trailer dropped for Be Our Chef, which is going to be coming at the end of March onto Disney Plus. A new series with 11 episodes where they've got chefs from Walt Disney World. They're all like families competing to kind of get their food at the parks. What did you think of that trailer? Because you didn't even know this one dropped, did you?
No. Well, the news article that you posted didn't say the trailer was in the article. It just was like details about Be Our Chef. And I was like, oh.
Well, that was because I had the information before the trailer. You see, that was yeah.
In any event, I was like, oh, okay, I already have the basic idea. And then like, oh yeah, we're gonna talk about the trailer. Wait, what trailer? Oh, and then I found it.
It was weird because they kind of launched the trailer like in the middle of the night for me, rather than usually they would tend to drop them in the day. Usually, they dropped it in the middle of the night. So I woke up to this trailer, and it was like there was no press release went out. There was no update on the website. I managed to find the information, and it was a bit like, wow, they really did just kind of like shadow drop this trailer. They didn't even put it officially on the Disney Channel website for nearly to the end of the second day. It was like a really weird rollout. Normally they make a big song and dance of all the trailers and stuff, but this one kind of just dropped in and didn't really make a big impact, which I thought, having watched the trailer, I don't really know why.
It's a pretty bland trailer, honestly. Yeah. That's not a comment on the show. I'm actually kind of looking forward to the show. It does have that kind of like wholesome bake-off quality to it. I do like that it's using families as the cooks, you know, because typically, at least here in the States, you get either adults only, in which case, you know, Chef Ramsay is yelling all sorts of curse words and such at them, or you've got the little kids and he's being very nice and saintly to them. You very rarely have both together. So that at least gives it another angle that's not just, you know, you're doing pastries in the form of Baymax's symbol or something like that.
Yeah, I'll be honest, it kind of feels a little bit like a show that we would have in the middle of the afternoon here on television. If it was to drop, it wouldn't be like a prime time show, and that's kind of where this one fits in. It kind of, again, Shop Class kind of feels in that same territory where, you know, these would be on at like 5 o'clock at night or 4 o'clock in the afternoon over here on British television. It wouldn't be on 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock primetime TV kind of territory.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that assessment because this feels like the kind of thing that you put on as a fluff piece. You know it's going to be happy. You know you're going to see something interesting. You might feel hungry after watching it, but you're not really going to take it seriously. You're not going to be, for the most part, going, what's dropping this week? That is the first one to watch right there. We got to watch the Disney Bake Off. Now there will be, because I realize that some of these chef shows really do take off, but I think for the majority of viewers, it's like that little bit of bonus that you get on top of the shows you're really here for. Yeah,
I mean, it's going to be starring the hosted by the Office star Angela Kingsley. I'll be honest, I the US version of The Office I've never watched. I didn't really like the English version before that, because there was a version before that with Ricky Gervais.
Yes, there was. It's interesting because her character in The Office is not one of the nice ones. She's got some interesting subplots going on there throughout the various seasons. But of course, that has nothing to do with the actress. It's all character. If I was going to pick someone from The Office to host this, actually, she would actually be pretty high on the list. To be honest, she might be near the top of the list.
Yeah. So to be honest, I'm going in completely blind. I've got no knowledge of her in the slightest. She's kind of in there with the Disney fairy tale wedding presenters for me, of going in completely blind. She could walk up and say hello to me, and I wouldn't have had a clue who she was.
And to be fair, I don't think they're going to push the Office angle too much, considering that's an NBC show, not a Disney show.
I mean, in the kind of the official headline, they've mentioned it twice. So
that's fair, because The Office is a big name. People recognize The Office, but it's not going to be like she walks on stage, Angela from The Office. You may recognize her from The Office, and now they will be baking Baymax treats for Angela from The Office. They might name drop it, but it'll be big in the press releases. It'll be big in print, because that's where it affects.
Yeah, grabs attention.
But other than that, she's a host. That she's there, and I will say, from the trailer, we don't see too much of her, but I think she's going to do fine as a host.
I think this will be fun, and this is a nice little easy filler show, because again, these kind of shows like this in shop class are much cheaper for them to produce than something like The Mandalorian. Let's just be honest here. They can knock these out pretty quickly, get them done, and they can do multiple seasons, and they can start building up that repertoire of having original shows that cater more to family viewing, because this kind of stuff in shop class are going to be, I think we're very much going to be like, you can sit down with your whole family and watch it, like easygoing television. Parents will be slightly entertained, kids will be entertained, it'll be somewhere in between, and it's just family entertainment, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. It just doesn't grab the same attention as you could tell this from with this dropped. It's like this might become a big thing once it gets going, but right now there's so many different levels within Disney Plus of what the audience responds to. It's amazing when you see responses of stuff that come through of what and you can see it on the trailer reactions when you actually look on the official page of how many people are tuning in for different ones and stuff. But this one, again, these are growers. These are ones that will get people in and start going, oh, I'll try that out since I've got Disney Plus. But it's all good stuff.
And one thing I would like to see out of this, most chef shows, they don't really talk about the recipes for obvious reasons. They're not supposed to give away the secrets. But since this is a family or families putting this together, I think it'd be great if they included at least some recipe details. So after the show, you can go, oh, that looked really good. And your kid who you watched it with, you can make the recipe with them. Even if it's like a modified version of the recipe, something that you wouldn't get at the parks. Because they still want you to go to the parks to eat, the Disney foods.
I just love the
they
fact
had something that you could do with your kids as a little project, have fun in the kitchen. I think that would be a nice little thing to separate it from most of the chef shows.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to kind of have all this stuff in it as well. There's no doubt. I mean, all the experts in there as well are from like chefs from Walt Disney World. It's very odd as well. It's like I realized in the official download sheet they were like talking about the chefs, and not a single chef got their surname mentioned. It's like, no, you just literally got a first name, like chef this and chef that. It's like, okay, they aren't really pushing that they are like celebrity chefs or anything. It's just like, here's Bob.
I have to admit,
he works in the kitchen.
I have to admit, I didn't realize that there were star chefs at Disney World. I didn't. Yeah, it was more of a like if you go to Walt Disney World and you go down to downtown Disney or Disney Springs, whatever they call it these days, you're more likely to hear about like Guy Fieri and stuff like that than you are about the Disney chefs. So I don't know if this has been a thing or it will become a thing, but it also, even if they just made it up on the spot, it does at least add the sense of credibility to the show.
I mean, I suppose like if you've got the head chef of like someone from like the California Grill or something like that in there, or this is the head chef from these main restaurants. It does. Some of the restaurants are fantastic and stuff. They're not everything is peanut butter and jelly sandwiches from the Epcot like shop in the middle there. There are lots of different things that you can go and have, and some have some really nice food. It's not all. It's really improved. I know over all my time going to the parks, every time I go back, it does feel like the food continues to get better and better.
Yeah, I've been to Disneyland a couple times recently. The Mary Poppins place, what's it called? Jolly Holiday has a really good menu that I find is actually relatively affordable by Disney standards. So I always make a point of going there. And then people who've watched the Diz Kingdom know that I wasn't super impressed with the Disneyland Paris, but I will say their food menu, as you would expect from Paris, is really good.
Yeah, it was just frogs legs, croissants every time.
And escargot, all they just have the snails going down Main Street.
Literally, we were in the plaza having the buffet, and I had this big escargot, and it was cold and it smelled. And I'm not kidding. I mean, it was like, oh no. My wife was just like, no. Like it's like when we're in Paris and we go. It's like I don't remember this. I remember having escargot when I went there on a school trip, and it was lovely. This was not. It was like cold snot. It smelled all like seaweedy as. Never.
What? I'd rather have like a croque monsieur or something like that. I totally butchered that name, but I don't care. It's a really tasty. It's a really good sandwich.
Cheese sandwich, Right. Let's move on from Disneyland Paris food. Mandalorian merchandise. Let's just say. The New York Toy Fair is this weekend. This is where all the big news gets released, because basically what happens is all the new merchandise gets announced for the rest of the year. There's also a lot of deals done in the back about all the purchases being made now for Christmas. So this is like when the toy industry is like revving up for Christmas is right now, because they've got to place their orders, they've got to show what's coming up and get everybody in, get everybody excited. I think there is going to be some issues this year, probably with a lot of this stuff of how well. I mean, I know it's how the coronavirus is going to affect products getting out of China, and if there's nobody there to make the things. So there could be some issues, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if some stuff does come in, if we do start getting some delays, if it carries on much further. But there was so much merchandise announced, some big ones. I know both of us lit up when we saw the Razor Crest Lego set. I mean, it's like, was it like hundreds of pieces? It's about $100 plus, and it comes with a little baby Yoda set, and that one just jumped straight out to me. It's like, I'm buying that.
Yeah, I looked at that. I was like, oh, this is $120. This is really expensive, but man, it's a nice looking set. And as I've said repeatedly in the past, it's the spaceships that I love to get, whether they're die-cast models or Legos or the Revel model kit, stuff like that. I really go for them, and the Razor Crest is great. Plus, it really looks a lot like Serenity from the Firefly show, so it's like a double whammy.
Yeah,
I have to admit, the mini baby Yoda. It's like a mini figure. Not huge. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a choking hazard for my cats, so I'm going to just have to put that in the bag somewhere. But it does have the Mandalorian figure. It's got the IG-11 figure.
You've got a Scout Trooper.
A Scout Trooper, and then it also had the bounty
hunter. So you can recreate that scene.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I've got other Scout Troopers, so I can definitely recreate that scene.
That one there definitely stood out to me. You can pre-order it now on the websites and stuff. So it'll be all of this stuff's all going to be available for season 2. You know what's going to be? There was a load of other bits and pieces, loads of Baby Yoda. Which nice. We got the first look at the Build-A-Bear. For that one looks quite cute. That's going to be coming in the spring. The big one was an interactive doll from Hasbro, which is about $60. Makes lots of little noises, moves around a bit. Looks great. I thought that one looked really a lot of fun. You also got some Lego brick heads. There was some more Funko stuff. They've got that was on show, but most of that's already pre-order coming in pretty soon. New T-shirts. There was hats. There was all kinds of stuff and playing cards. So much different stuff being shown off there. We find new Black Series figures. There's new plushes. There was so much Baby Yoda. This is where they really kind of were like, this is what we would have liked to have had out for Christmas, but they decided to boost Disney Plus was more important than merchandise sales. And that's how it kind of felt.
Which is amazing because it's Star Wars, and Star Wars made its name on merchandise. But on the one hand, I've said this before, but I appreciate that they didn't spoil Baby Yoda with having all the advanced merchandise. But yeah, it would have been really nice, especially the Lego Razor Crest around Christmas time. That would have been a great set to put together.
The other good thing as well is like all of this is all going to be on the shelf when Mandalorian season 2 hits, and now there'll be an even bigger audience because Baby Yoda's not going to have aged at all. You know, he's not a character that's just going to be like Groot, where he changes every single movie where he gets bigger and smaller, and they can keep redoing it. This is, you know, they can just keep doing Baby Yoda stuff, and everyone's going to want to. I'm going to get myself one of those the big 10-inch Baby Yoda pop vinyls. I think that's because that's pretty much going to be life size. That one did stand out to me, like going, yeah, okay, I think that one's going to go in the studio once it's built.
I mean, honestly, for me, a lot of the Baby Yoda stuff, I'm probably not going to go in. Maybe one little plush, you know, just a cute one that you can hug, whatever. That's about it. Other than the Lego, it's interesting to see some Darksaber merchandise popping up, which, like, it's about time, honestly.
Yeah, but then again, it's like we are getting ready for season 2. We don't know what's going to happen with that Darksaber. So it's good to kind of see that. I would be surprised if there's not some more like stuff from Hasbro and stuff later on, like action figures and stuff when the season drops. But way too early for them to be showing that off now. It was all about the Mandalorian and also quite a few Clone Wars bits and pieces as well. They kind of threw in some stuff, but yeah, they didn't show as much Clone Wars stuff as I was. I think the Clone Wars are in a bit of this weird zone because it's going to be a big boost to bring it all up, but at the same time, these episodes aren't entirely 100% new. It's like Bad Batch, you know, has been out there for years, so it's not like it's all brand new and all shiny like Baby Yoda.
Yeah, and we'll talk about this obviously later in the episode, but like, yes, it's true that people who go to Celebration, who go to the panels at the major cons and whatnot, knew about Bad Batch and they knew about these characters, but honestly, most people were introduced to them just now, this past week, or you know, if they couldn't see it on Friday, then at least sometime this weekend or coming week. So it is new, but you're also not going to see the same kind of merchandise. You're not going to have a nice little cuddly Build-A-Bear, Wrecker. You're not going to have Rex or Cody, but you might get, you know, a Black Series figurine. You'll get some action figures. Maybe a Lego set.
There's actually, it's like, I know because I play a lot of Star Wars miniature tabletop games, and they've been doing so much Clone Wars stuff for all of the different games and stuff. They've been really heavily pushing Clone Wars on that side of things.
I believe they've been doing the same for Battlefront, the video game.
Yeah,
they were pushing a lot of Clone Wars. I only check in on it every once in a while, but I know they added like General Grievous, they had General Anakin, they added all the clones.
It's really funny because we were having this discussion the other week at the Games Club, because like the Clone Wars have now become, you know, there's a whole generation that are now adults that grew up watching the Clone Wars and the prequels that are now, that stuff is to them is Star Wars, and they've got that connection to it, and they like all the cool characters like the clones and General Grievous. You know, there's a whole generation that's grown up on this stuff, whereas, you know, for us, we still, you know, we've kind of gone through, it was a different thing entirely for us being that bit much older because we grew up on the original movies, whereas the clone stuff was a bit like, oh, this is not really like, and I think personally, this is where the younger audience that were maybe the Clone Wars have had a harder job adjusting to like the new era, because, whereas like I think us older ones have already kind of gone through that once before. I think that's kind of it's like, yeah, I do wonder if that's been part of the issue of the Yoda, the ones that are slightly older have already kind of dealt with the double. We've already dealt with this once before.
There's that, and then there's also the fact that there's so much media around the Clone Wars. You've got 7 seasons of that cartoon. You've got 4 seasons of Rebels. You've got the 3 movies. You've got a number of books. A lot of the books and comics no longer count. They're all out of continuity, but there's still a lot of them. And there's just so much lore built in that time period. Whereas you look at the current sequels, other than the 3 core movies, you've got Star Wars Resistance, which really didn't add anything lore-wise. Maybe a few bits and pieces here. But,
which season 2 is dropping this coming week onto Disney Plus as well.
Right.
So that's
if you haven't seen it, you get to see all the non-additions to the lore.
Moving on from there, a couple of other things there. Apparently at the same event, they did one of the people at Lucasfilm did kind of, I think, drop that there's going to be a Mandalorian and Baby Yoda meet and greet coming to Disney theme parks. He didn't really go into too much details.
Was that confirmed or was that a rumor? I was kind of a little unclear from the article.
Well, one of the guys, it was from, it did say this was from Lucasfilm Senior Vice President of Licensing, Paul Southern. So there was somebody at the event from Lucasfilm went on to say, so the reality is that we feel it's really important for our guests at the parks to be able to meet all of our key characters on a first-hand personal basis, and so it's something we're working on. We think it's appropriate, and I think it's something that guests at the park can look forward to in the very near future. That sounds about as official as you can kind of get from Lucasfilm.
That's fair. I mean, I'll still wait for an official, Mickey Mouse on the header Disney announcement. It would be great to see the Mandalorian. There's, I think, as you mentioned in the article on the website, there's not much holding them back, at least on the Mandalorian side, because you never see his face. No. I mean, you do briefly, but you're not supposed to.
No.
And they've already done animatronic meet and greets. Like, you can meet BB-8 at the parks. Yoda's obviously much more advanced than BB-8, but they have at least the basis of the technology in place.
Yeah, I mean, the Mandalorian's the easiest one. They can probably get that one in much faster than Baby Yoda, but they can get this in line for season 2. It's just printing. It's such an easy win. It's just more promotion at the parks. Whack that into launch bay at all the different areas with a themed area. Meet Baby Yoda and Mandalorian. This is just the amount of social media posts about this character is going to be amazing. I'm surprised. The trouble is, Disney parks take a long time in terms of planning, and they very much seem to be, and we've said about this so many times, they wait and judge and see how it reacts before they build anything. They don't build anything until they know that there's a audience there. They don't do it first.
Yeah, it's easy for us to remember because we're so, we've been doing this for years and years and years now. So we see the evolution, but most people forget, as big as Frozen is now, it took forever for them to show up in the parks.
Yeah, I mean, they don't. I think because they've always had problems with building stuff because they have to take years to build, and if they're going to build something and spend a fortune on it, they tend to edge their bets and go on something known. They don't want to build a Brother Bear ride, or they wait until they get the pulse of people and then start planning. I always think the meet and greets are something and like parades and stuff. It's something they could take a bit more of a risk on and get them out for launch. But yeah, good to see the Mandalorian. I think everyone's going to love seeing those Baby Yoda pictures at the parks. I know we would. I know when I was out in China last year at the theme parks, meeting like Chewbacca and going and meeting R2-D2 and all this kind of stuff, I had such a blast, and especially when nobody else was going to see them because it's not so big out there compared to the Marvel characters. It was great, and there's always been things. And I remember a few years ago I was at Walt Disney World when there was like the May the 4th events like all taking place, and they had all the meet and greets, but I couldn't convince anybody else in the family that the $150 a night was worth it to go meet Star Wars characters.
That's fair. I will say, most of the time when I'm at the parks, I don't see it. Walt Disney World in Orlando, I normally don't see, the Darth Vader, the BB-8, Chewbacca. at less than 20 or 30 minutes, which
Yeah.
by park standards isn't, massive. But during the busy seasons, they can definitely get over an hour.
Yeah, literally in Hong Kong, it was walking. You literally walked in and there was nobody queued up behind me. I was with Chewbacca for like 5 minutes. There was nobody behind me. So it's a bit different. Moving on from there, Disney Plus is now available on Vizzo Smartcasts, which I thought you can fill a bit more in because you actually have one of these.
I do, and this actually worked out pretty well for me. I've been using my Xbox to watch Disney Plus on my television. Now I can turn it off and probably sell it, honestly. I sold my PlayStation a while back, so now it's the Xbox's turn. Without needing to use it as a Disney Plus box, I don't really use it anymore. That's not a comment on the state of gaming. I just have fallen out of gaming. So.
All right. I'll be honest, my Xbox One is with Xbox Game Pass. My Xbox has done the exact opposite. It's used constantly. So when Disney Plus launches in a few weeks officially in the UK, that will become both that and the PlayStation 4 will just be switched on with the app already installed to use them. They will become the main ones. I like it on my smart TV, but I think it's a 2006 model and I have an LG, and I'm not expecting to actually have them actually put on that television. As much as I like it, because it's much better having the inbuilt ones. My TV, the smart apps, it really feels quite noticeable. The TV is constantly crashing, adverts breaking, all kinds of stuff, and it's just bad, really. But no, it is going to be interesting to see where they go with that one. Moving on from there, let's move on. Disney Channel have confirmed that the Fan Fest is going to be returning in May. This will be at the Disney parks in both Disneyland, and they're also going to be coming over to Walt Disney World. This will be taking place in May for 3 weekends. And the idea for this is basically they show off all the Disney Channel content will be there, all moving in. Zombies 2, there's going to be the people from Raven's Home, Just Roll With It, Sydney to the Max, Cooping Cammy, Ask the World, Bunked, and also Disney Fam Jam and Upside Down Magic. You'll also get to learn how to draw behind Big City Greens, Amphibia, DuckTales. Obviously, all of that stuff is all big, major content for Disney Plus. So if you want to meet all the characters and the people that are involved in it, then you want to be heading to the parks. For that, you find all the information over on the website. So
Disney
from there,
wants you in the parks.
I think this is great. I think this is a really good idea, really, for them to kind of boost. I don't think they do enough of this. The Disney Channel stuff tends to get. Doesn't really have a home at any of the Comic Cons or anything like that. It's not big enough. So them having a little event, a little stage, they usually live stream it as well. I think the Disney Channel stuff, it doesn't quite get enough press behind it compared to the other channels.
I agree. And then it's also been nice the last, 2 years or so, having the DuckTales characters, the old, in their original designs, hanging out at Animal Kingdom. The lines there, again, not super long, but there is always a line whenever I go there. It's normally, 10 or 15 people deep, so it's not that bad, but it's great to see Scrooge, Launchpad, Chip and Dale dressed up in their it's not their Rescue Ranger outfit, but it's a different outfit than what you normally see them in.
Moving on from there, let's go on to kind of our Star Wars: The Clone Wars review, because that pretty much wraps up most of the news from this week. So the new episode dropped yesterday, so I watched that one last night. Didn't quite get as much watch as I was planning on in terms of like the fairy tale weddings and stuff. I'm going to be watching all that over the weekend because we're going to be doing a review in a week or two's time of Robin Hood, so I was watching that instead. But first off, The Clone Wars. What did you think of that episode?
I loved it. Straight up. I really enjoyed it. A lot of action, a lot of interesting characters. It was a return of what I wanted from the Clone Wars.
Yeah, it's a kind of thing of great episode in terms of the action. You had these weird and wacky characters brought in that kind of was nice to see, kind of like that variation of the clones, because sometimes the clones can be a bit, there's not as much personality. These are all completely different. I can't help but wonder where this series episode would have been originally, because the trouble is with season 7, a lot of them are like old episodes which either they had abandoned the project when, like, I think, I don't know if like when Disney brought them, or they just got abandoned because the show was being cancelled, so they never got finished. So they've actually been available on other platforms, streaming and stuff, but they're in like a rough format of just like no CGI, and so they've basically gone back and finished them. Because a lot of people going, oh, we won't do spoilers, and we're going to be doing a review, and people going, you do know this episode's been out for like 3-4 years on different platforms. So the hardcore Star Wars fans, none of this is new.
Yeah, but I think we have to review this
Yeah.
from the perspective of regular viewers who have not been tracking the development of Clone Wars for years and years and years, because that'll apply to other stories as well. And even if they do continue, they're obviously going to be episodes that they still won't produce because they just don't have the resources for it, and they might try to sneak them in other ways, like they did with the Ahsoka book, and they tossed in some of the Battle for Mandalore there. Dark Disciple, which continued I was going to say Qui-Gon Jinn, but I mean Quinlan Vos and Asajj Ventress. So, but it's still the new introduction for most people.
Yeah, I think I did think it was a really good episode. It was fun to kind of have all of those characters in there. It's that hard thing as well of like knowing where this, because I think it's going to be like maybe like 3 episode like subplot of them rescuing the main of this character. And I don't know, I just really enjoyed the whole fact of like the droids kind of worked out how to beat the clones, and there's that kind of weird thing of like, no, because they're all so programmed that they're all acting so they're all just so systematic in how they're doing everything.
Yeah, and it was one of those things, even way back when we first learned about the tactician droids, which was very early in season 1, if not at the very beginning. I remember going, okay, it's cool, you've got these super tactician droids, but they keep getting beat really badly. So how smart are they? And then we finally do get to see in this episode, we're like, nope, we've cracked some of the tactics. We have ways of beating the clones. It's kind of that promise that we've waited 12 years to get a capitalization on.
It was I really enjoy that whole aspect of them using the different ones and how that all worked. And obviously it's going to play into the idea of the shock finding out, of like someone's still alive, and the shock, I think, of that spider guy at the end of just going, they found out something. And it's like, okay, where's that going? That's obviously going to lead into the future episodes. But I really enjoyed that aspect, as well as that, there was no Jedis, there was no major characters. This was all about clones and droids, and that whole interesting aspect to it.
And that is interesting, because I was kind of hoping we'd get Ahsoka, because she's one of my favorite characters from this, which is funny because I hated her in the original movie that she showed up in. This is such an annoying character, and she's turned into my favorite. But obviously, this story arc doesn't make sense to include her. We'll get that later. And then even Skywalker and Mace Windu, they're in it, but they don't do anything. They just kind of talk a little bit, and then it's all clones.
It was the fact that there was that bit of Anakin where he kind of looked at him and was like, he's reading him by something. He knew something was up, but never really went anywhere. Maybe that will play a part in the future episodes. But I was surprised there was not no Ahsoka. I think because they so heavily pushed Ahsoka and everything that was going on I thought that's where they would start it going from. Whereas they sort of just went straight, because this episode, I was there going, okay, this is cool. I don't know, it was a strong episode, but it didn't really feel like the hook to get you into the season.
Yeah, and it felt like it was a little safe in that regard, because there's not much forward movement with it. Yeah, there's this one revelation that this one character might still be alive, and there's some great action scenes. There's these new characters popping in the Bad Batch, but there isn't that hook, even at like the Mandalorian level, which we had the hook in episode 1, and then they kind of meandered around for 6 episodes before popping in and oh yeah, we got to resolve this. Now this one doesn't even have that. Oh, there's a major significant moment, but it's a bit difficult because we already know what happens, and I'm not even talking about like specifics like we were earlier in the episode. It's like, no, after this, we move into Rebels, and we know some of the characters can't die because they're going to show up there. Yeah. We know other characters can't die because we know how they they end up in Revenge of the Sith or even A New Hope. And so there's not too much they can surprise us with here.
And also as well, because this whole season isn't built from the ground up to be a season. It was just lost episodes that they've put together and finished off and finished up the story. It's not like, I think, like with Rebels or Resistance or anything else, where they have got, right, we are planning a whole season from start to end, and we've got a story to tell. And because Clone Wars has always been a bit like erratic, like here's a free story arc, and then we're gonna have a random episode, and they don't necessarily interconnect the same way that I know when I went through all 6 seasons last year, there was that kind of thing of like, you'd have a chunk of story and then it would just be thrown aside to go do an entirely new story. And I think we're going to continue to see that going forward.
Yeah, and they had a system in the original run. I remember them talking about it, where they would do some more serious stories. You'd have the clones, or Anakin would go on a Force journey and discover things, and then they would follow up with episodes with C-3PO and R2, or maybe Jar Jar and Amidala, something like that, just to kind of balance out the dark and the light. And that's not even like a Force reference. That's just you need to have stuff that the older audiences wanted, but it's still a kid's show. It's still aimed at a younger audience, and they need the Jar Jar antics and R2 being R2 and so on. I really hope we don't have a Jar Jar episode in this batch, though.
I think it's going to be a bit. I don't think they've got time to fit it all in. But no, I was really impressed with it. I'm really up for this series each week to watch it. In some ways, though, it just makes me like, I really want a proper series. That kind of thing of like, let's get that, Rebels prequel or Rebels sequel show going, where they can get the story moving forward where they wanted to get to, rather than, in some ways I think it's good that they are going back and they're trying to finish off this season, finishing the story arc of obviously ending up primarily just trying to tell Ahsoka's story to kind of get that all lined up properly to what happened in Rebels.
Yeah, it sets her up, well, not this episode obviously, but these episodes should set her up to where we meet her again in Rebels. Obviously there's several years in between. There is a book that also covers part of the gap, but that's more around like the Rogue One era, or setting up Rogue One, so not quite linking up with here. But yes, this is, while I am loving it, it is a stopgap while we wait for them to determine, are they going to do something in the First Order time frame? Are they going to finish up Ahsoka's story? Or are they going to do both of those at the same time? Is Sabine going to be there? Ezra, Thrawn, yada, yada, yada. And honestly, I'm really excited to find out what that's going to be. This will hold us over, or at least it'll hold me over.
Yeah,
But
I mean, that's a good thing as well. Yeah. I mean, we're talking now, we're gonna have new episodes right through till probably the end of April. So we got new Star Wars content. It's a nice little filler for Star Wars fans to keep their subscriptions going and just to kind of keep fans happy. I don't think it's going to pull in main audiences. Just judging by what I've seen in the Facebook group since it launched, I can see already that there's nowhere near. There's something about live action and cartoons that just changes the audience. From what a lot of people, adults will kind of check in on. I know we've been having so many discussions in our gaming group of those of us that hadn't watched it, of trying to catch up. And I've been like, just get Disney Live. Don't worry about the DVDs and stuff. Just the easiest way of doing it. And so many people have been trying to kind of plow through it, but it's quite a mammoth task for people to go 7 seasons, 100+ episodes. Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna skip it. But in all on it's that thing of you probably could sit there and watch season 7 and never seen the earlier ones, but you wouldn't know these characters. You would know them because you've seen them in the movies, so you wouldn't be completely lost, but some of the story would be lost if you hadn't done it.
Well, I think this particular episode, you're not going to get lost because you can pick up what the characters are, what their roles are, what their significance to each other is, but you're not going to have the backstory because, again, with the exception of a brief appearance by Anakin and Mace Windu, the only character in this who you'd be familiar with is Cody, and that's from his very, very brief scenes in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. But no, nevertheless, let us know in the comments below what you thought of the first episode of the Clone Wars. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. You can also, as I said, you can subscribe on different platforms and stuff, so you can always do that. Again, big thank you to our patrons as well for all of their support going forward. It really does make all the difference in making sure that the podcast can continue, and you are more than welcome to join us on the podcast as a patron to support it. On that note, guys, thank you very much for watching, and we shall see you guys soon. Laters.
Later.